Okay, I'm having a sound issue. Hold on. Uh-oh. I had to reboot everything and wow. Okay, so I guess I'll share. No clue why. Mm.
Orleans Avenue.
Yep. Guys, I don't know what happened to my sound. Of course, probably they didn't like the title. This is what happens. It's all good. Did I hit something up here? Hmm. Of course, I can't see. Oh, well.
Another dollar, another.
I got nothing. Oh, hold on. So this already happened. No, that's good. Yeah, well, Let me see. Hi, Jack. Can you hear me? Huh. I don't know. It just took me like a half hour to reboot my computer. And I know you're using my mic, but where the heck is my speaker? Yeah, well, I'm not quite sure what's going on. Because I got other things to show that I need sound for. Did you all hear any music? Because a lot of times, if I share the audio, hold on, let me try to do, I can't see. Let me do the share. Tell me if you guys are hearing any music. Okay, so hold on. Oh, you did? Awesome. Okay, so let me do this and do this because I'm going to play a cool song that's going to go with this whole video, right? Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Upload a picture. I'll do that later. Okay, so share audio. Okay, here you go.
People living their lives for you on TV. They say they're better than you, and you agree. He says, hold my calls from behind those cold brick walls. Says, come here, boy, there ain't nothing for free. Another doctor's bill, a lawyer's bill, another cute cheap thrill. You know you love him if you put him in your will, but who will say
I'm gonna put my glasses on. I'm
when
sorry,
it comes
guys.
to the flowers now.
Okay, yeah, I have no sound on my side, so
At those lies that you told, boy. And who
Hmm.
will say
don't understand it.
your souls if you won't say your own? We try to hustle him, try to bustle him, try to cuss him. The cop wants someone to bust down on Orleans Avenue. Another day, another dollar, another wall, another tower went up where the homeless have their homes. So we prayed with many different gods as there are flowers, but we call religion our friend. We're so worried about saving our souls, afraid that God will take his toll, that we forget to begin. But who will save your soul when it comes to the betters now? Oh, I'll save your souls for those lies that you told, boy. And who will save
Hello,
your
Jace.
souls if you won't say your own?
Yeah, this is like so 80s.
Some are walking, some are talking, some are stalking. Their kill got social
Hi,
security,
Peacock.
but it doesn't pay your bills. There are addictions to feed, and there are mouths to pay. So you bargain with the devil, but you're okay for 2 days. Say that you love them, take their money and run. Say it's been a swell, sweetheart, but it was just a small of those things, those things you got to call. So get out on the streets, go to the bus stop. But who will say, hey, your souls, those lies that you told. Who will say, hey,
So, guys, don't you know I'm a bit miffed? So, basically, Sloppy Joe there declared war on 1/3 of the actual Americans. I don't know, might be a little less than 1/3. Who knows how many's here? In any event, I forgot to upload some pictures that I downloaded. I'll do it after the show. Um, but I had found a few like people that said it all, and I'm gonna play that for you. I don't know if you're as offended as me. Chances are, I mean, where's the unity, Joe? I thought he was supposed to unite America, and all he's doing is further dividing us. It's like they're picking for a civil war. And I say, don't fall into the trap. we go to the ballots, we go to vote, and vote for anyone who isn't in, anyone who is not part of the crew, and do your research, right? So this is just sickening. I never in my 57 years ever thought that I would see this kind of rhetoric. Look, at least the last president, okay, he called out what was wrong. And this next, and mind you guys, I don't have any sound here. I don't know what happened to my sound. Uh, None of the cats got on the keyboard, but I did reboot. Hello, Wes. So let me, I want to play something I found very, very interesting, right? So that's what I do. I'm trying to stay away from politics, right? I really I want to do shows on gardening. I want to show you how to make butter, and I want to show you how to collect seeds because seeds is probably going to be as good as gold. When these dumbasses figure out that there's nothing left in the supply chain, yep, you demand, right? So anyway, let me get over. I do want to play this one thing. And it was so well put together. So it really was. And we're going to do it. So here we go.
Okay, caricature picked up by a White House staffer, and you have
you know
the
what?
dark brand.
Before I go here, I'm sorry, my bad. I am going to open with an audio, right? I'm going to open with an audio. So I just, this is 1938-39, and Hitler makes his first call for Jews annihilation. So I think this is kind of important to add in here. And in any event, before I go into that, I just kind of think this is a little important. So let's just do this first. This is how it started in 1939.
1939. Hitler makes first call for Jews annihilation. On January 30th, 1939, Germany's Führer addresses the Reichstag and speaks explicitly of annihilating Europe's Jewry. On January 30th, 1939, the 6th anniversary of Adolf Hitler's ascension to the Chancellorship of Germany, the Führer delivered a speech to the Reichstag in which he spoke explicitly about the annihilation of European Jewry. Toward the end of what was a more than 2-hour speech, Hitler made a threat regarding what would happen to the Jews if they succeeded in dragging Germany into another world war. Today I will once more be a prophet. If the international Jewish financiers in and outside Europe should succeed in plunging the nations once more into a world war, then the result will not be the Bolshevization of the earth, and thus the victory of Jewry, but the annihilation of the Jewish race in Europe. The bulk of Hitler's speech was devoted not to the subject of the Jews, but rather to recounting the glorious history of the Nazi Party. In a 1997 article in the journal History and Memory, the German historian Hans Mommsen explains that Hitler's insertion of a few paragraphs about the Jews came against the background of ongoing negotiations between the Third Reich and the Intergovernmental Committee on Refugees on a plan for Jewish immigration from Germany. The final solution did not really get underway until the summer of 1941, when the Nazis invaded the Soviet Union. In early 1939, the Germans were still hopeful that they could get rid of their Jews by way of emigration, while in return they wanted the Western powers to loan them money to carry out rearmament. In fact, serious discussions were going on with George Rubely, the American chairman of the Intergovernmental Committee, which had been set up in the wake of the failure of the Evian Conference in July 1938, to find nations willing to accept Jewish refugees. The snag was that far from wanting to lend Germany money, these potential refugees were insisting that the Jews be allowed to leave the Reich with their accumulated wealth. Hence Hitler's mocking tone. in which he chided the Western democracies for their putative concern for Germany's Jews, but who, when asked to do their part, say we are not in a position to take in the Jews unless Germany is prepared to allow them a certain amount of capital to bring with them as immigrants. That, of course, was something the Third Reich was unwilling to consider. Germany, he asserted, was merely paying this people what it deserves. After all, when the German nation was, thanks to the inflation instigated and carried through by Jews, deprived of the entire savings which it had accumulated in years of honest work, when the rest of the world took away the German nation's foreign investments, when we were divested of the whole of our colonial possessions, these philanthropic considerations evidently carried little noticeable weight with democratic statesmen. Mommsen does not suggest or imply that Hitler had benign intentions toward the Jews, but he does assert that in January 1939, the Führer was not yet convinced of the need to murder all of Germany's Jews, not to mention those in the rest of Europe. But as someone who was intimately involved in the production of the virulently anti-Semitic film The Eternal Jew, he apparently approved the insertion of this portion of the January 30th speech, and he also repeated in the same language, in half a dozen speeches in the years that followed, his threat about the annihilation of the Jewish race in Europe. If Hitler's language was meant to appease even more extreme Jew haters in the Nazi Party, says Mommsen, in the end, the historian suggests that it inadvertently turned into actual politics by giving unrestricted leeway to the party radicals who demanded immediate implementation.
So I just wanted you to hear that speech that kicked off the annihilation of millions and millions of Jews. And in my opinion, any Republican that voted for Trump and believes in making America great again, we are now a target. They hired 87,000 IRS agents. And remember, who is the mob guy that they couldn't get on anything else except tax evasion? So look at the J6 people. They're rotting in jail. And not one of our fucking politicians are standing up and saying, oh no. Well, but hold on. DC is not a state. DC does not have to abide by the Constitution, right? This is why they said, oh, well, maybe we'll make they will never make DC a state. This is why everything runs rampant. They can be pedophilia. They can do whatever they want. And I think we all need to make a plea to get our J6 people out of DC. We need them transferred to somewhere in the land that the Constitution is actually living and breathing, not what the politicians want. And secondly, go to the polls, vote. Don't vote. Okay, for the exception of maybe a handful of good people that are in there, vote them all out. Get rid of the career criminals. They've sold America out. It's done. It's like the Constitution at this point is dead. They want to see blood on the streets. They want a civil war. Look what they did with the Fauci ouchie, okay? They don't care if we live or die. They don't care what party we're for. All they care about is the power. And they're becoming a dictatorship. And if we allow it to happen, then I guess we get what we deserve. So anyway, let's get on to the other part of the show, because I think this is this is pretty important. And if you're not as pissed off and as mad as I am, then maybe I can stoke your feathers and make you as angry. Look, where the fuck is that unity? All I've been seeing for 6 years is division, and it all started with the Hildebeest. We're a basket of deplorables. If you see them out, if you see them in a restaurant, get in their face, right? And yet, people that support the Constitution are literally being demonized. It's the upside down clown world. And I don't know, I'm not liking it. And you know what? Hey, Biden, you dumbasses, all you people, come and get you some. Because you're going to open a can of fucking crazy you're never going to be able to contain. You don't threaten me. Just ask Snafu Snaps. You don't threaten me. Don't do it, because I will come, I will cut your throat in the middle of the night, and I'll probably dance in your blood. That's a certain kind of crazy you're not going to get from probably military people. I'm just saying, don't you dare threaten me. I have my beliefs. That's what America is about. We're supposed to be people that literally sit here and we debate. Debating is a good thing. Different beliefs are a good thing. This is what we do. This is how science is made. This is how so much stuff is figured out. But to demonize me because I don't believe in what you're doing, I don't believe in your kangaroo court system, I don't believe in indoctrinating children, I don't believe in pedophilia, I don't believe in cutting children's genitals off, and your Pride Month. And let me tell you something else, you fuckers, to go ahead and parade around naked in front of children is a disgrace. And then you dumb pride motherfuckers stole the rainbow. Of course, it ain't the 7 colors like God made it. See, when God put that rainbow in the sky, it had 7 colors. And that rainbow was to remind us he ain't ever flooding the earth again. And you dipshits with your pride. Let me tell you, in the Bible, you know what it says about pride? Ain't no good. Mm-mm-mm. So you guys are all doomed for an eternity in hell. And that's not my cross to bear, because I'm speaking out about it. I'm a witness. In any event, let's get back to Sloppy Joe. Oh, I'm pissed. I'm one. Thank God I didn't have kids. Could you imagine just how freaking angry I would be if I bore children? If you tried to adopt, anyway, enough of me talking. Let's. This was a great find. Justice Knight did it. He did a beautiful job. So let's have a look. See. Duh. Okay, guys. Okay, hold on. Sorry.
So you'll hear many of the pundits talking about Dark Brandon rises, originally stemming from this cartoon, aka caricature, picked up by a White House staffer, and you have the Dark Branded rises. Imagery behind him that is obviously readily apparent, but did you know they slipped it in last night? And I'll show you how obvious it is. You know, the image is taken on new meaning as so many have seized upon it, but this is no joke and no laughing matter, because this image means something entirely beyond what you can imagine. So we're going to zoom in for a moment. We're going to start here with imagery. It's all important in these storylines, and let's just take two images and superimpose them here for a second. I know, proportionally perfect. Now let's take a second. It's hard to run away from, isn't it? Images no one ever wants to see here in this great republic of the United States of America, but it's here. They're not hiding it. Just not many will expose it to you. But now let's go to his speech. Start there and just take out two portions. Two portions, that's all it's going to take. So let's roll the tape.
Ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesen Jahren für dich eingesetzt habe.
Sorry about that. Wrong tape. I don't know how I could have ever gotten them confused.
We must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology.
Okay, stop there. There it is. Let me put it in focus for you. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. Just think about that for a moment. So in one token, he's saying not every Republican, but on the other token, he just called the entire Republican Party, every person that subscribes to what he's calling an ideology, is an extreme ideology. An entire opposing political party subscribes to extreme ideology. They just may not embrace it. And somehow that makes it okay. So let me roll one portion of that clip again, and let's put in the correct words for a moment, at least as we would believe them to be. Biden has the option to say whatever he wants, right? So let's put the shoe on another foot for a minute and make that statement more accurate. Joe Biden and the radical Democrats
Represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
And before I show you why that statement is actually accurate, I'm going to second it with a second statement here, and again, put in the correct words.
Our nation of fear, division, and of darkness.
Radical Democrats
Made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies.
Well, we got to stay on the street, and we've got to get more active. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
But look, if the president does go ahead and fire Robert Mueller, we would have people take to the streets. I believe there would be widespread civil unrest.
Well, he wakes up angry and watches Fox
set
Friends
off,
most days.
it would set off a firestorm. I think it would be, not only on the Hill, but in the streets.
Before I end, that's my call to action here. Please don't just come here today and then go home. Go to the Hill today. Get up and please get up in the face of some Congress people.
But Michelle says that, when they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, we kick them.
We'll also fight him and challenge him in every way that we can, in the Congress, in the courts, and in the streets and protests.
As I say to them, you're in the arena. Once you get into the arena, this is again, not for the faint of heart. It's Sunday morning, I know I just came from Mass, but nonetheless, I'll say this. When you're in the arena, you got to be ready to take a punch. You got to be ready to throw a punch.
That it does you any good running away from Donald Trump. I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
So now let's replay my edit and tell me who's right. Democrats have made their choice.
They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies.
And if I can just make another point about chaos, maybe he forgot this.
Etc. And of course, it had nothing to do with the left, nothing to do with them at all. It was all the far right. But of course, that didn't end up. I know, total lies. That the vast majority of the most hardcore protesters in Minneapolis were either far left or anarchist, and that white nationalists and the far right have not made any kind of meaningful appearance. So
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
I hope you get the point. Pretty clean cut,
Fake
huh?
Marines.
But let's
They
take the
look
second
like
statement now
cardboard cutouts.
and dissect it the same way.
Just saying.
But first, we must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our
look like
republic.
cardboard cutouts.
When you are not with where majority of Americans are, then, that is extreme. That is an extreme way of thinking.
You heard her. It's pretty easy to understand. If you don't agree with us, you're an extremist.
What Joe Biden is saying right now is the official position of the entire executive branch of the U.S. government. That would include the Justice Department, the various intel agencies, and the world's most powerful standing military. Think about that. Does it make you nervous? You don't have to be a Trump voter to see a speech like this as a turning point in American history.
Well, that's one side of the argument. Now let's hear from disgraced former FBI official, agent Andrew McCabe.
So I think it's a positive moment for those folks in law enforcement and in government, but maybe would like to have seen more as well.
He would like to have seen more rhetoric, more than what we heard last night.
President Biden tonight gave the speech of a dictator in the style of a dictator, in the visual of a dictator, using the words of a dictator.
Here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election.
The
They're
devil
working
coming
right
out.
now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. They promote authoritarian leaders and they fan the flames of political violence.
Well, I think I proved my point on where the violence is stemming from, but now let's go to the Constitution question. When Biden and your regime work with social media companies to censor content, I guess that wouldn't violate our freedom of speech whatsoever, or our right to bear arms with your continual attack on gun rights, or maybe due process denied for some of the J6ers that sit in jail without due process. Simple concepts. Reminds me of a TV series, doesn't it? It's the House of Cards, but when will this House of Cards finally fall? Before we fall further into what is every definition of authoritarianism. So we should just end our malarkey, right, Joe? We'll stay with the comic book script. So many images. Now being proven, well, unfortunately, entirely true. Because Dark Brandon has risen. The repercussions are going to be long-standing. And by the way, that meme, as I mentioned earlier, was from a White House staffer that promoted it. It's unbelievable that this is anywhere happening in this great Republic of the United States of America, but it is, and I'm not going to stand back and allow one message, one propaganda to override the message and the actions that have actually occurred. I'm not dismissing any activity that should not have been done by either party. But if you want to unite, that's not how you do it. And that is not the imagery you use. That has no place in the United States of America. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justice Knight, signing out.
Okay, guys, so that was that. He did a really, really good piece on that, and well, you know what, folk, there was something about the Fauci ouchie that they said it had cobra venom. And when you get bit by a king cobra, you know, one of the things that makes it go through your system more is tobacco, nicotine, right? So if you remember about 2 years ago, all of a sudden they wanted to stop selling menthol cigarettes. They said it was, too many blacks who were hooked into it, but oddly enough, I smoke menthol. They didn't care about me. See, when you have a country and you want to unite a country, you know, the Asian person, the white person, the black person, the Indian person, everybody's the same. You don't bow down and kiss the ass of anyone. We're people. We're one nation under God. If you don't get it, then get the fuck out. We don't need you. We don't need you. We don't want you. We don't need you. Leave your socialist crashed bullshit stuff back in your country or go home. If you don't know what the American dream is, if you don't know how it all started, then get the fuck out. We don't want you. We don't need you. We don't like you. And to think that this man supposedly was voted in, get the fuck out of Dodge. He wasn't voted in. Because you know what? I think America has more intelligent people than this. And if you voted for this shit, I hope you go down with the sinking ship, because it's not going to be good for you. When you piss off the red-blooded Americans, not the blue bloods, not the blue bloods. This is never going to be a socialist country. This is never going to be under Marxism control. You think you got it right now? We got one more shot, guys. One more shot. And you know what? It's the peaceful shot. Go to the election booth, no matter how wrong you think elections are, and you vote for anyone new. Get rid of these career criminals. They sold us out. They sold us out many, many times, many years. Look at all that crap. Pelosi and the rest went over to Taiwan. Look at the mess they made. They probably went to go cash out on their stocks or something like that. I'm just saying, it's all wrong. We are in upside down clown world. What used to be right is wrong now. I should love my country. I should be proud to be an American. All this shit in the world is happening because we got a slip chip Joe in office. He's a sloppy Joe. I don't know who's pulling. Now, okay, I got a good idea. You know, it's Obama's third term and the rice factory. But you know what? We, the Americans, whether you voted Democrat, whether you voted Republican, we're all paying the price. And you think it's bad now? Huh, you ain't seen nothing yet. Buckle up, my buttercups, because let me tell you something. If you haven't been watching the downslope and you're not prepared, I sure would hate for you to show up on my doorstep hungry. Because you know what? I just might have to shoot you. And I don't care what color you are. I don't care who you voted for. But the thing is, Tuna, I'm not very proud of America. Look at the puppet they put up there. God forbid, I hope they're wearing freaking latex gloves to stick up his ass to make him talk. This is all wrong. People, if you don't see this, it's not about left and right. It's not about that. It's about wrong and right. And that's what it is. Yeah, right, Wes? Look, I have a little box supply. But guys, I don't want to kill thy neighbor. I love thy neighbor. I literally, drop and meat. We have enough seeds to feed a town of 400. You know why? We don't care how they voted. How bad can we be? How bad can we be? You know what? Fuck them. Take the Fauci ouchie. That's one less person in our town we have to feed, right? No, we don't believe that. We're literally planting stuff to help people medically. Because you know why? We care about our fellow man. And that is what a good Christian does. It's not my job to judge. I don't want to judge you. It's not my job. But if you come to me and you're hungry, you're going to have to work. I don't have enough food to feed you. However, I hope it's in the summer when we have a garden and seeds. And Drop did amazing work here in this town. He went to the community center. He drops off dozens and dozens of eggs. We have 26 chickens. There's no way we can eat all those eggs. We drop eggs off all the time. He started a community garden all around. We have an abundance of summer squash and zucchini, and we donate. Yeah, the dehydrator's been going for probably a month now, nonstop. And guys, just be smart. There's going to be hungry people. Don't be bitter. Don't be angry. And look at them like they're a half retard, right? So they've been brainwashed. They've been indoctrinated. And there's nothing we could do with our neighbors that think one way is better than another. Because you know what? I could be wrong. I could be wrong. You could be wrong. But you know what? They're out to kill us all. They don't care if it's a Fauci ouchie. They don't care if it's you against me. And you know what? Roy Potter actually I don't know if you guys want to see this. I want to bring up Roy Potter last night, right? Oh, let me see if I can find him, because hold on, let me go right to this is kind of important, because this man was in the intelligence community, right? And let me tell you something. He's saying, don't freaking stay in your house. And it's a 40-minute video. So literally he's saying, if you bug in, and a lot of people are thinking, hey, we'll just bug in, right? He's saying, if you bug, look, I'm prepared for certain things. But in any event, I want to share this video. And yes, he kind of rants a little bit. And he was the intelligence community. While I share this video, I'm going to make sure there's audio. But I'm going to go have a cigarette, right? Because I smoke. That's what I do. But guys, we are being manipulated. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Yes, Tim, your vote is your consent. But listen to what Roy Potter said, right? I just want you to listen. And, sometimes I get long-winded. But I watched this last night, and I was, I wish Drop would have watched it with me, because it made a lot of sense. So let's check this out, right? And I'm telling you, you're not going to see me in the chair. You know why? I'm going to go have a smoke. Need a smoke. So he did a great thing as well. And so let's go there. Here we go.
Looks like we're up and running. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is the evening of Thursday, September, what is today? 1st, 2022. And I know there's a lot going up here tonight. I know a lot of people are talking. I know there are a lot of live streams going on. I was thinking that maybe I shouldn't do this tonight, but I didn't want anybody to think that I was ignoring the whole issue. On 5x5, thank you very much. So I'll just get into it. This isn't going to be long, at least I'm not planning on it being long. If you go into the description box below, there is a link to an article. Well, actually, it's my tweet. It's a tweet that I put out the other day, maybe this morning, I don't know, it was in the last 24, 48 hours. And it's commenting on an article that was written by...
it's all the way out.
It's a group of people, although they write as if it's one single individual. It's called the Conservative Treehouse. And on YouTube, on Twitter, it's known as The Last Refuge. As I mentioned the other day, they and I have had a couple of cross swords on things, but by and large, they've been very good and have given a lot of good information. And what that article is about, and I know I've talked about it before, I just want to make sure that everybody knows, and again, it's in the description box below, that the intelligence community is our most dangerous domestic enemy. And you could even just take out domestic there and just say the intelligence community is our most dangerous enemy. Now, The Last Refuge, the Conservative Treehouse, it's a rather lengthy article, but it's well documented and he explains everything in there. I put out on Twitter and also on my community posts. If you go up above in my channel here, there's the community tab. You can click on that. Right now, the first thing you'll see, if they haven't taken it down, is a picture of Biden doing his address tonight. And I wrote right there, this says everything, basically. And if you go to the next post down from that, that has some excerpts from the Last Refuge's article on the intelligence community and how it is the fourth branch of government, that it has usurped basically the other three branches that are really dysfunctional at this point, and take all of their marching orders from the fourth branch of government, which is supposed to be the people. Actually, the first branch of government is supposed to be the people, but how the intelligence community has usurped all of that and controls everything. It gets pretty detailed, and it's rather long, but I really think that you need to read it. Because those are the exact same things now that I've been saying for years. And of course, as I just mentioned, the motto of my channel, the intelligence community is our most dangerous domestic enemy, and in fact, our most dangerous enemy, period. They are not doing what they do to secure you in your God-given rights. Okay, they're not there for that. And that's the case with all the intelligence agencies, especially the Five Eyes countries. Okay. So that's the first thing, because what I'm going to say in the next few minutes will have a lot to do with what he says in that article. All right, so please take the time to read it. We're in a lot of danger. Secret societies have taken over our governments, indeed our very lives, and we don't even know it. We're worshiping some evil, evil entities at this point. Okay. So, as most of you know, Biden gave a talk tonight. We knew it was going to be bad, and frankly, I'll just be honest with you, I didn't even listen to it because I looked at the basic information that they put out about what he was going to cover, and I kind of knew. However, after it was done, and I went to see what the whole thing kind of looked like, and I saw the picture of him speaking and the background, the colors, the way everything is situated, it's sending a message. Now, in my community post, as I said above, you can go to the community, and the first one is a picture of him giving this speech tonight, if you can call it that. Frankly, what it actually was an ultimatum, as I've said in the title above. Now, is he coming up with all these ultimatums and all these accusations on his own? Well, I'm sure a lot of it is his, but he's being told what to say, and he's being told by people like Obama, like the CIA, the FBI, Department of State, et cetera, et cetera. That's where all of this is coming from. He's just the local mouthpiece for this, although he believes most of this, and that's why he was chosen, and he's very easy to manipulate at this point. He's definitely no leader, okay? But at any rate, so when I saw the picture, and if you all haven't seen it, you need to go look at it or see what the address looks like. Basically, it's all red with a little bit of black in the background. He's standing at the podium and delivering his diktats. Well, back in the 60s, there was a social scientist by the name of Marshall McLuhan. And that's where the second half of my title above comes from. The medium is the message. It almost doesn't matter what they say. It's what the medium is like that they use to say what they say. The medium is the message. Ladies and gentlemen, the medium in this case, when you look at this picture and you see the background and you see all of that, that it wells up inside of you, you will know what this is about. This is evil incarnate. We've been dealing with a lot of crazy things in this nation and across the world for many decades, but most of it remained under the radar. We knew it was there, but they didn't push it. They didn't promulgate the evil in the open. Well, we were fooled by going to wars that we shouldn't have and those kinds of things. But I'm talking about, really getting the people to come along with some evil, evil things. And of course, going to unjust wars is evil. But I want to concentrate on kind of another aspect of that. And that is that they needed to get to the point where the evil that they have within them that they wanted to uncover it and promulgate it and not just encourage it, but almost force it on us, which is exactly what's happened. And I could give you a lot of examples. You could talk about, R versus W, if you can read between the lines. I'm not going to say some of this here, but that the situation with the child problem that we have with them taking children, the problem with sacrifice, with organ transfers, with sex changes, with all of that. I want to be careful about how I talk about it here because of that situation. See, we're being interrupted today for there. Yeah. I'm not going to go there right now. Okay. So most of you should know that they have to tell you what they're going to do before they do it. And that has to do with something that happened in the 3rd chapter of Genesis. But at any rate, what we're seeing right now is what Isaiah talked about. And it wasn't just to do with sodomy and that type of thing. And sodomy, well, I'm not going to get into particulars of that. I'll just say it this way. Isaiah said that in the last days, their sin shall be as Sodom, they hide it not. In other words, they do it in the open. They don't keep it, underneath so that it doesn't affect the population at large. They push the entire agenda and they're proud of it. Does that sound familiar? What's that? The pride. They're proud of it. The pride. They're proud of their evil, of their debauchery, of their degeneracy. And I could talk about it in lots worse terms than that. They're forcing it out on you. And if you don't accept it, and if you don't go along with their new rights, forget about the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the context of, the Bill of Rights and of the scriptures, the perfect law of liberty. No, now rights are defined as you can mutilate people. You can force them to take something that they don't want. You can be forced to bring people in and live amongst you without your consent. You can be forced to have boys pretend to be girls and girls pretend to be boys. You can push MAPs. Again, I don't want to use the actual words, but look that up as an acronym. All of these evil things are coming about, and the normal relationships between people are being destroyed, are being ignored, are being castigated. Man-woman relationship out the door. Now it's rape. To ask a woman out for a date, it's sexual predation, right? They've changed the rules, and Isaiah said that too. And in those days, they will think to change times and laws, and you're seeing that. And Biden getting up tonight and doing it in the manner that he did, in the environment he did, in the background message, the medium is the message. In what he did tonight, they told us, the IC, the intelligence community, the NWO, the UN, all those bad organizations, which I could name here, okay, which are, and they're somewhat separate. It's not a monolithic thing, but so many of these things are promulgating evil, and you should know that by now. The changing of your DNA, read between the lines. I'm not going to get into any details on that. All of that, here we are. And so this pageant tonight, this show was to tell you exactly who's in charge, and that they have no respect for God, as a matter of fact, or anything to do with human morals and decency. It's all about what they declare now. They have their Tower of Babel. They have killed God, and now you have to bow down to them. that's how this is going. I don't want to point at any particular group. Let's see who this is here. Fox Mulder. There are a lot of different ones, and they all have different agendas, but they all kind of coalesce into the end result, which is the destruction of mankind, which I've talked about now for a very long time. So I'm not going to get into the particulars of Biden's diktats tonight and his calling everybody who doesn't agree with him a domestic violent extremist, domestic terrorists, all of that. That's just Marxist ways of shutting down anybody who has another opinion. And in fact, what he's done now is he has violated his oath that he took to the Constitution of the United States. He's violated it, as has almost everybody else up there, okay? Or over there, I guess I should say. They're liars, deceivers, murderers, thieves. And as I explained the other day, they're not really worried about what's happening here or what's happening here. Where are we right there? Pointing backwards. The real target of destruction, of the real objective of destruction is you. And that's what he said tonight. If you disagree with him, if you don't want to go along with him, if you think that, you want to say that, the selection process was not above board, you're an enemy. You're an enemy of the state. If you believe in the right to self-defense and the freedom of speech, you are an enemy of the state. They've declared it now, and they're going to move on it. One of the interesting things that the Last Refuge, the Conservative Treehouse, does, and it's you'll have to go to the link in the description box, but you can also go to my community post, not the Biden picture, but the next one down. And I have some excerpts from his article talking about two of the people who, well, first of all, there's the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence that is really being run by the intelligence community. It's really there to put its rubber stamp of approval on anything that these evil, wicked intelligence agencies want to do. The Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, SSCI. And he makes an issue that the two main now there are a bunch of people on there, on that committee, the Gang of Eight, they call it. But two of the people, he names a lot of them, but two of them he puts a great deal of responsibility on for the situation that this country is in trouble for right now. And where we're headed. And he names them Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. Please go read this thing. I think it's very important for you to see. Yeah, Brandon has been a problem for a long time. He actually has. And we've let him get away with it. The problem with this is that, this weighs on us. Most of us are responsible for this thing being where it is because we haven't stood up against it. Okay, let me just talk about a few other things. You know that I don't have a whole lot of trust in the vote, okay? I know it's manipulated, I already know that. And I also know that when you vote, you're saying that you're giving your assent, your agreement to the system, however it turns out. And I understand that. There's a problem with the vote. However, just putting this out there, we are supposed to use all lesser means available to us to call the unrighteous and the evil to repentance and to try to fix things. We are supposed to use all lesser means. Going to talk to your congressmen, your senators, going to your county commissioners, going to your state governor, calling the senators and representatives in Congress, even talking to the president, going to demonstrations, and of course that's illegal. Now you do that and they say that you're, well, it's not quite illegal, but it's looked down upon. They're always setting people up so that, they say that you can't go and disagree with the government on any number of issues. That dissent now is treasonous. It's criminal. But at any rate, unless you're BLM or Antifa, those kinds of things, right? The point is, I know that voting is iffy. But if we're going to use all lesser means to bring this about, I'm going to suggest to you that you use this tool of all lesser means and that you get out. And again, I understand the problem with the voting. I'm not just saying this because I think it's going to fix it. What I'm saying is you have to make a witness against the evil. Because if you try to take action prior to pointing out the evil that's there, then a lot of things that are going to happen will fall back on you, which will probably happen anyway. But I think you understand what I'm saying. It used to be, for instance, when police officers were in the field and they had to arrest somebody or deal with a suspect, the use of force requirements were that you use all lesser means to try to control the situation. All right? You don't go straight to deadly force. You try to use the lesser means that are available to you to control the situation. Now, there's some judgment in that, but I think you understand again what I'm saying. So what I'm saying here is maybe we should bite the bullet, even if we don't trust the voting system, and use it as a lesser means to try to say we're not putting up with this. What Biden said today, the types of things that he said about Christians, conservatives, etc., Republicans, basically. I don't like Republicans. I don't care for them. Most of them are just, they're just not worth the time because they really don't do anything, especially the ones in office. But what he said tonight, and what he's been saying for a long time, what his press secretary said the other day, and all the things that they've been talking about how evil we are because we don't want to castrate our kids, we don't want to do hormone therapy, we don't want to force medical procedures on people, we don't want to go to wars, we don't want to we want to be able to pick, we want to be able to select in a proper way those who are going to be in positions in the halls of power. And I could get into more detail, but again, I think you see what I'm talking about. We can't fix the broken system, do the love, okay? It's done. I said the other day, we can't usurp their evil system. That's not what we can be about. We can't usurp it, but we need to testify against it. We need to set up our own system and testify against them. Don't try to usurp the evil system, especially now. There's no way you'll be able to do that, okay? I don't want to be quite that fatalistic, Walter, saying it's over. But you know, I've said for a long time that the United States is ripe for destruction, and we're doing it to ourselves. Our leaders are doing it to us. I mean, these agreements have been made a long time ago. I've talked about these things that were talked about and agreed to back in the 1800s about how to take down the United States, and that was before it was before the Civil War too, but also afterwards. The Civil War was just a blip on the screen compared to what they're going to do now. And I could get into all the international situation, but I want to concentrate on what we saw tonight with a few other comments. So again, use all lesser means. Go ahead and go out there and do this voting. It might not help, but at least you're making a witness, okay? And I think that's important. All lesser means before. I mean, they're going to come after us, okay? They're going to try to say that we're doing it. When they've done all this, they've allowed their people to burn cities, kill people, run them over with cars, set federal buildings on fire, invade the Capitol building, set off all sorts of bad things. And yet, because we don't want to bow down to their evil, we are the domestic terrorists. We don't want to be unified with them. Thank God. This is the dividing time. You're agreeing with them on all of these things. By the way, down in Utah, I got word, I should have put it in the description box, that I believe it's this Saturday, in Happy Valley, Provo, Utah, one of the bastion counties, Utah County, of Mormonism. Guess what? They're having a drag queen celebration. And they're inviting all the families to come and watch it. totally degenerate now. Totally. I've already talked about the conservative treehouse and some of my comments on that, which you again can see in the community tab above. Go to the post. I also want to talk. I just want to mention this just real quick. I've noticed something, even though, and I'm going to talk about Alex Jones here and his associates. They've been talking about it, and I don't want to say they haven't at all. They have. But the primary attack that they make is on the Democrats. Now, sometimes you have to talk to the weakest link in the chain to help them to understand. And to point the finger at the Democrats, that's something that people can kind of latch onto and say, oh, okay, yeah, those guys, all right? But it's not just the Democrats. Again, it's the intelligence community behind it, the evil, dangerous intelligence community. Yeah, we can talk about the Mossad, we can talk about MI6, we can talk about the CIA, et cetera, you know, but they're all the same. Read the Conservative Treehouse in the description box below. My point with AJ is that he's really not strong enough, in my opinion. It's been a while since I've really listened to him closely, but in my opinion, he hasn't been hard enough on the IC, the intelligence community, just like he wasn't hard on Trump on this whole thing with the magic jab, right? Yeah, I know he's just done that, but it shouldn't have taken this long. How many people have suffered because he refused to call out Trump, right? Well, it's the same thing with the IC. All right, and I might want to talk a little bit just for a moment about some of the people that I've told you should probably follow to understand what's going on the world stage, the geopolitical situation, especially the war in Ukraine, and now the war that's about ready to start with China over Taiwan. Yeah, that's going to happen. Again, it's not China and Russia that are the issue. It's you and me. It's us that they're after. Okay, to take our sustenance, to take our substance, to take our treasure, and to take our blood. To experiment on us, to steal our children, and all of that entails. Okay? So it doesn't matter if they start these wars, because the destruction is what they want anyway. You saw it tonight in the picture with Biden in front of all that red. The medium is the message. He's bringing hell to you under what basically is socialism, Marxism, or just say authoritarianism. Evil reigns. They said it tonight in illustration form. But talking about these people that I've told you about, the New Atlas, that's Brian Berletic, Alexander Mercouris, Alex Christoforo, the Duran, Jacob Drazen, all of these people, okay, that I've mentioned to follow on the situation with Ukraine, Colonel Douglas McGregor, etc. I told you that they're giving you the straight scoop. The major problem I see with all of their presentations, and not that they're wrong, but they think that the geopolitical and military maneuvers being done by the nations, Russia, China, the United States, the United Kingdom, that this is just natural, normal, in a way, competition amongst the nations. And that's how they analyze everything. They don't understand, for instance, why the EU is so bent on not taking Russian oil, supposedly because of the sanctions against Russia, like that's going to hurt them. We had Biden shut down all of our oil, and now they're telling us that they want us to use electrical vehicles, when in California the grid can't even charge all those vehicles, and they've been told not to charge their vehicles. Okay, and we could get into all that, and I know most of you understand what I'm saying as far as that goes. But you see what's really happening here it's not just normal competition amongst the nations. There's a little of that going on because all of them want to be top dog when this thing's done. You know, China's tried to pull away from the WEF and the New World Order. Apparently Putin has, although there's some arguments that could be made that he's just doing their bidding, and I understand that, but I think that he's for real. But he has done some things that, you know, make me wonder sometimes. The point is that you are the objective, your destruction, your enslavement, and your destruction. The end of your posterity is what they're about. Okay? So what Brian Berletic of the New Atlas, Alexander Kuris, Duran, Douglas McGregor, Drazen, all of these people don't get is that this is all deliberate to destroy mankind. They don't get that. Or if they do, they don't talk about it. But I'll say it up front right here. That's why all of this is going on. Shutting down your food supply, shutting down your power, shutting down your mobility, demanding that you take things into your body that you shouldn't have to take and that you should be able to control. The changing of what they're doing in the schools to the kids and in the hospitals, and that children can make decisions on whether or not they're male or female and have the appropriate surgery to change it, or chemical processes or whatever. But the school can't give them an aspirin for a headache. You know what I'm saying, and I could get taken down for some of this, but I got to speak forthrightly to some extent. All right, so I think that although all of those people understand the tactics, the strategy, the inner workings, I really like Brian Berletic, for instance, and he talks about what the evil people in D.C., for instance, are doing to start these wars, and that the only people that really pay for it are you, both in your blood and your treasure. And of course, the victims in these countries like Iraq, Afghanistan, and we could go on and on, Somalia, whatever, you know. But this time, there's going to be if they continue down this road, there's going to be massive death and destruction. And they probably won't experience or suffer any of it. So that's why I say there's no problem with going and casting a vote this time. To be a witness and to use all lesser means. Okay? If you're watching my Twitter account, I have close communication. I'm not saying I talk to them offline or anything like that, but there are some retired military officers on there, law enforcement officers, etc., that can plainly see where this is going. And they're saying you've got to get ready, and that you've got to prepare, you've got to train, and do, and I'm throwing this in there as well, you have to do all lesser means. Get out there and try to change this thing with a vote. I don't have a lot of faith in it, and I know the problems about it, okay? I understand all that. And people are going to say, no, I'm done with it. I've said that. But we're at a situation here now where we have to do the testimony. We have to put our lesser means at work. Because the next step, ladies and gentlemen, is not going to be easy. It's going to be dirty. And whether they start it with false flags and blame it on us, or if there's some stupid person out there who thinks that they ought to go and do something that they shouldn't, take matters into their own hands alone without any competent county, state authority behind them. I understand there are problems there, but discretion is the better part of valor, and you have to do things from a position of strength. So the next step will be whether they do a false flag on us, blame us for something we didn't do, or find somebody to do it, which is still a false flag, right? Or some crazy do it, or they'll just come and start attacking us. Basically, the IRS thing with the 87,000 new supposed agents, they're not agents, they're revenuers, is a step in that direction. The ATF going out and taking things from people that were legal, 2 months ago, and now they just make an edict that it's illegal, right? That's tyranny. And those that don't comply are going to be met by force from the government. And we need to stand up for our neighbors. And that's why I say that's when it's going to get ugly. So if we can use a lesser means to deal with this now, even with all the problems that has, with the dishonesty, et cetera, et cetera. I'm selecting my words carefully here. Even with all of that, we need to use the lesser means if we get there. It could very well happen, the way things are being set up right now, that the midterms won't even occur. Biden has set up a thing right now where he could declare a national emergency, martial law, and cancel the elections and leave things as they are and come after all of you. And if you don't think they won't do that or they can't do that, you're mistaken. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. Somebody asked me, who do I vote for? Do a write-in. Do a write-in. The point is that you make your voice heard. Do a write-in. You know, put your own name in there. That's all I've got for you tonight. This is serious. They have set the stakes. They have set the parameters. They have made their demands. And if you don't cave to their debauchery, to what they call freedom, which is not freedom at all, because they want to take away your freedom. They say, you know, the conservatives, and I don't like Trump, you know that. The Trumpsters, you know, they want to take away your freedoms. Well, what freedom? To kill your kid, to change their sex, to, you know, give them different drugs, to, you know, you see what I'm saying? The real rights, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, the right of speech, the right to protect yourself, the right to not have your property stolen from you by the government without probable cause, etc. All those things are the real rights. The right to worship as you see fit. Those are the real rights, not the substitute ones that they're putting out there that are destructive, that are designed to destroy you and your family and your loved ones. All right. They're serious. And that whole presentation tonight, remember Marshall McLuhan, you can look him up. Marshall McLuhan. The medium is the message. They're telling you hell is here and they're going to force it on you. And if you don't go along with it, they'll kill you. That's what that was all about. All right. I'm going to go. I've got some other things to do. Prep, pray, stay out of the way. When I say stay out of the way, I mean, you know, defend yourselves, but don't go looking for trouble. That's not how this is going to work. Without a competent state authority backing you, you're just making yourself a target. Keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground, situational awareness on high. Read the signs of the times. Make preparations. Have a contingency plan. Don't think that you're going to be able to defend yourself in your home. And I've said this before. You will not succeed. You must have a defensive perimeter out from your home to some extent, and your neighbors. You got to come up with a plan where that cordon, that security perimeter is out a pretty good distance. If they get to your home, it's over with. All right. It's a very sad day. This is going to be really interesting to watch everybody talking about this over the next few days. I don't see anybody coming to save us. Okay. We're on our own. And the balkanization as I've talked about, they want to break up the United States the way they did Yugoslavia. Same sort of thing is coming. This is deliberate division, but it's a division where they're the tares that are being taken out of the wheat. That's really how this is going to be. So stand by honesty, integrity, love of God. And I know a lot of people say, well, you got to love God the way I love him. You got to understand God the way I do. No, it says that you're supposed to have an awe of God, a fear for him. The real Hebrew word is awe, is reverence. You may not understand what God is. As a matter of fact, the scriptures say you can't figure him out. Okay. So point is, you have reverence for that. You have respect for his law that he has written in your hearts and minds. It's very obvious you don't want to do somebody else what you wouldn't want done to you. That's pretty easy to figure out. So there you have the two great commandments. Love God the best that you know how. Give him reverence. Ask him to show you the way. And do unto others as you would have them do unto you. There really isn't anything else. You do have the right to self-defense. But just understand that when it gets to that point, things get really dirty quick. And again, I pointed out my military and law enforcement friends on Twitter and elsewhere. They say, get ready. Train, prep. And when the time comes, hammer it out. Y'all take care. Out here for now.
That was Roy Potter. And, sometimes it gets a little quirky, whatever. But I saw a couple things between last night and this morning that I thought, we should highlight it and think for yourself, right? Don't let anyone tell you what to think. Listen to every side and come to your own conclusion. And it seems now that your own thinking is bad thinking if you don't follow the curriculum. And I'm devastated to see basically our country's been taken over. And I don't know, are they fallen angels, lizards, communists, Nazis? I can't even fathom what the hell is going on with our government. I mean, people are still crashing our border to come to America. And you know what? I think that some of the Democrats are thinking, well, these people come from a socialist country, they're going to vote for us. I don't think so. They're leaving their country because it's socialist. They're leaving their country for the American dream. The American dream is you can sell zucchini on the side of the road and make a living. That you can make soap. That you can own your very own business. Or you can get a job, that's paying $15 an hour. And don't you know, you guys, I told you way back, when they raised the minimum wage, everything was going to go up. See, when the women burned their bras back in the 70s, then they had two incomes, two. Woman went to work, the man went to work, and you know what? There was no one to raise the children. Do you know who raised the children? Cartoons, Bewitched, and public schooling. Now, I may be Generation X, right? Yes, I got sat down in front of the cartoons and You know, I actually felt bad for Wile E. Coyote. However, it changed. Then there was a purple dinosaur. I love you. You love me. We're a perfect family, right? And you know, I don't think Barney, besides the name, really had a gender, right? And then Bert and Ernie, and you know what was that one show, Zoom? I never liked that as a kid. I just didn't like it. Or the Electric Company. I didn't like that either. You know, I kind of like Bugs Bunny. So, but everything's changed. What your children are watching is forming, it's shaping their mind. What they're seeing in schools. When parents think drag queen is cool, no, you fucking morons. You're giving children a dollar bill to put in their hands. You know what? You got to be 18 to get a tattoo. You got to be 18 or 21 to you got to be 21 to drink. You got to be 18 to go into the military. And what makes anyone in the world think that you can take your child and mutilate their body? You people are fucked up in the head. You're fucked up. You ain't right. And you know what? Pride is not something looked on good in the Bible. I'm not well versed, but I will tell you, the Fauci ouchie, there is one saying in the Bible that I thought in the very beginning, that you should not trust in man. You should trust in God. So I'm real sorry about all the people that may have perished. And you know what? Guess what? Flu season's coming. Bing, bing, bing. Guess what's coming out? Yes, the new Fauci. And guess what? Oh, you betcha. There's going to be another variant. So people, put on the armor of God. I couldn't think of anything better to die for than my beliefs in my religion. God, the Almighty Creator. I don't care what name you want to give them, but I'm not falling into their trap. And I hope you don't. I hope you look at every side and then just use the basic what's right and wrong. You can't demonize a third or half of the country. You can't say that they're bad people for their beliefs, because this is what America was founded on, right? We have great ideas. This is how innovation is made. This is how we've come so far. And the people in politics are trying to pit us against each other. And please don't fall for it. Just vote them all out. Go for anybody that doesn't have experience, because these people, they're deranged. We need people in there that are going to cut off corporations. And oh my God, if you don't go by our Constitution, I'm sorry, you can't be an American company, right? So why should your policies or your company policies outdo our Constitution? Like, you know, Fake Book and BoobTube and all those guys. In any event, guys, I love you lots, right? God bless. Keep the faith. Hopefully faith is going to get us all through this. Have no faith in man. Have faith in him, right? So we're going to, I have no sound. Well, okay, yeah, I have no speaker right now. I don't know what happened. So I'm just going to play a out song, right? Here you go. Much love all. Yes, I'm gonna get a copyright. Fuck them. Yes, Lou.
Well, I've walked these streets, a virtual stage, it seemed to me. Makeup on their faces, actors took their places next to me. Well, I've walked these streets in a carnival of sights to see. All the cheap thrill seekers, vendors and the dealers, they crowded around me. Have I been blind? Have I been lost inside myself and my own mind? Hypnotized, mesmerized by what my eyes have seen. I've walked these streets in a spectacle of wealth and poverty. In the diamond market, the scarlet welcome carpet that they just rolled out for me. And I've walked these streets in the madhouse, as silent they can be, where a wild-eyed misfit prophet, traffic island stopped and he raved of saving me. Have I been blind? Have I been lost inside myself and my own mind? Hypnotized, mesmerized by what my eyes have seen. Have I been wrong? Have I been wise to shut my eyes and play along? Hypnotized, paralyzed by what my eyes have found, by what my eyes have seen, what they see. Have I been blind? Have I been lost? Have I been wrong? Have I been wise? Have I been strong? Have I been hypnotized, mesmerized by what my eyes have found? In that great street carnival, have I been blind? Have I been lost? Have I been wrong? Have I been wise? Have I been strong? Have I been hypnotized, mesmerized by what my eyes found in that great street carnival. In that carnival.